In this video, I'm going to show you how to resize any VRoid body parts live in vtubing application like VSeeFace. You can use this to change your character's face shape, clothes, accessories, and any body shape with a simple button press. This is done by using my free plugin called Not Enough BlendShape, or NEB in short. And if you're a game developer, this tool will actually help you make an easy character customization in Unity. To get NEB Lite for free, go into the link in this video description to open up my Ko-fi page for NEB Lite. Put in any amount of donation you want, check out, and click on View Content to download the files. For now, we just need the NEB Lite Unity package file. In a Unity project with UniVRM 4 VRM0 installed, in the project window, right-click on the Assets folder, Import Package, Custom Package, and select your NEB Lite or NEB Pro package file. In the next window, select All and click Import. That's it! You should now see the NEB Lite folder added in the project window. Now just drag in the _NEB Lite prefab in the NEB Lite folder to the hierarchy window, and we're ready to begin. The BlendShape Creator tool in NEB Lite works by comparing two models and turning the differences between these models into a blend shape. So if you already have a VRoid model, all we gotta do is to make some variants. For this demonstration, I'm going to use the default Vita model, which is, at this point, the unofficial mascot for this channel. In VRoid Studio, let's first export our model in its default state with the usual Delete Transparent Meshes option unticked. Let's name it Vita Default. Now back to the editor, go to the Body tab, and we can start to tweak some sliders. Let's set the chest size to max, chest position a little bit upward, and a little bit of chest split. You can adjust this to your needs. Then let's export this with a slightly different name. Back in our Unity project, in the project window, we can create two new folders anywhere under the Assets folder to contain our two models. Then drag in our VRM files into these folders. The UniVRM plugin will convert the VRM file into a Unity prefab model. All we gotta do is to drag the blue prefab asset from each folder into the hierarchy window so we can see the models. Double-click on the prefab name in the hierarchy window to zoom in on them. Let's move them apart so we can see them separately. Now we can move on to actually making a blend shape for our default model. In the hierarchy window, let's click on the NEB Lite prefab to open it in the inspector window. We're going to focus on BlendShape Creator, so we can close the BlendShape transfer tool for now. We want to create a blend shape for the chest area, which is a part of the body. So we have to drag in the body game object of our default model to the target field, and drag in the body game object of the bigger model to the source field. Remember that the default model always goes to the target field, and only the target model gets the new blend shape. Be careful not to switch it around. Let's rename this blend shape and click Create Blend Shape. And we're done. Now, if we click on the body game object of the default model, we can see there is a new blend shape slider added with the same name we gave earlier. And if we play with this slider, we can see that our default model can now shift her chest size between the default and the target model. Now, if we want to use this new blend shape in a vtubing application like VSeeFace, we first need to pair this new blend shape with the BlendshapeClip clip. It's the last step before exporting your model. This pairing process can easily be done with the add-on from the NEB plugin called BlendshapeClipMaker, which is a separate Unity package file that we downloaded earlier from Ko-fi. It's the same installation process as NEB Lite earlier, but this time we'll choose Add-on BlendshapeClipMaker. Then open the NEB add-on folder, BlendshapeClipMaker, and drag in the BlendshapeClipMaker prefab into the hierarchy window. To use this new tool, we can just drag in our Vita default model with the new chest blend shape into the model field and click Load Model. Optionally, we can review which blend shapes we don't want to be included in this model. But for now, we can just make sure that the new blend shape is listed and checkmark and click Update Blend Shape Clips file. And finally, we can export this file back into VRM by highlighting the Vita default model in the hierarchy window, then click on the VRM 0 menu and click Export. Don't forget to put in the version number, just any number. Click Export and select where to save our VRM file. Now in VSeeFace, we can open our newly exported model. We can find the new blend shape listed in Settings, Expression Settings. Then scroll down until we find our blend shape. Assign a hotkey on your keyboard or Stream Deck, in my case, P, and that's pretty much it. Now every time I press P, the model will toggle between expanding and shrinking chest size. But that's not the only thing that you can do with this tool. Aside from the chest size, you can also do some other cool things with any body part sliders, like making your model super thick on command. Simply just push those sliders to the max in the variant model, and don't forget that you can go over the slider limit if you type in a bigger number. And for most cases, every animation will work just fine. However, don't push those sliders too far or the model rig will break. Here's my attempt at creating a character with big hands. And you can see clearly that the hands go through itself on the animation skinning test. For comparison, the big hand model exported without the blend shapes has no problem whatsoever. It's really just the default model rig not set up for a bigger hand blend shape. So as a rule of thumb, don't go over 3x the maximum or minimum slider value. But against my better judgment, I tried to go further by chibifying this character. And as expected, it turns into an eldritch horror. There is a better way to create chibi characters with VRoid Studio, but that will require a separate tutorial video. Do let me know in the comment section down below if you want a tutorial for making chibi characters. And hey, while you're down there, make sure to like this video and subscribe so you can get more free tools and tutorials whenever I upload a new video. So far, we talked about resizing body parts. But what about the face, the hairstyle, and the outfit? Yes, you can also resize them. Sort of. The problem with resizing clothes is that while there are plenty of sliders that you can adjust, all of them are mostly minor changes to better fit your character. We are limited by the options provided by VRoid Studio sliders. The best thing you can do with this plugin is to change the skirt length or sleeve length. And that's pretty much it. And because the clothes itself is a part of the character mesh, you can actually swap them between models either in any vtubing application. But if you want to create a character customization for game development purposes, there is a workaround that you can use, which I explain in this video on making character customization. Fortunately, in the upcoming VRoid update, there will be a way to swap clothes between VRM files. When that update arrives, I don't see why we can't use NEB plugin to make even better blend shapes for the clothes. Fortunately, you can do a lot more with the accessories. Here's an example of changing the glasses shape with blend shapes. Or you can hide the glasses inside the character's chest or in her head. We do this by exporting each model one by one with just one slider turned up to the max. For hiding the glasses, we can just export the models with different glasses positions. Here's another example with the cat ears showing and hiding inside the character's head. Again, just export the two models with different slider values, one to show the ears normally and one to hide the ears inside the character's head. And then in Unity, we can use NEB plugin like before to create a blend shape from the differences in the two models. And because the accessories are just objects attached to your character model, it doesn't have any problems with animation movements, even if you push it far beyond the sliders. And here are those two models running in VSeeFace. The blend shapes run just fine with the hotkeys. By the way, if your model doesn't have the newly created blend shapes in VSeeFace, but it already has it in Unity, you might have missed the steps to use BlendshapeClipMaker before exporting. That should fix it. What about the hair? It would be cool to have a way to change the length of the character's hair, right? Yeah, unfortunately, you can't do anything with the hair. Whenever you use the hair selection tool or change your hair length, VRoid Studio also changes the amount of vertex or polygon count in your hair model. My tool only works for models with an exact same vertex count, so unfortunately, it doesn't work for the hair. And by the way, this is the philosophy I put into creating my plugin so that you can't make a mistake while using it, and it informs you of possible alternative solutions to work around this error. I saved the face for last because this is the menu in VRoid that has the most amount of sliders, and all of these sliders definitely work with NEB plugin. The more interesting question is, what if you export each model with all blend shapes one by one, just like what we did with the accessories? First of all, that will be tedious because you can only put in one model at a time, unless you're using NEB Pro, where you can put in multiple blend shapes from different source models all at once. NEB Pro is the advanced version of this plugin, which only costs $5, but it has plenty of new advanced blend shape tools, and directly helps support me making more tutorials and more free tools in the future. Seriously, if you buy a NEB Pro, it will give me far more than the ad revenue I get if you watch all of my videos. Plus, it's a lifetime purchase, so any future updates will also be free. It is especially helpful to me and my family in these trying times, and I humbly thank you for your support. Alright, that's enough self-promo. Once you did create all of those blend shapes, you've basically just made a character customization in Unity. That is just how VRoid Studio works. All the slider settings are just blend shapes that change one main model. Of course, this is just an oversimplification, because VRoid Studio also optimized the rig on export, so we don't have the eldritch horror that we got before. That being said, I think it's important to warn you that by doing this, you're skirting on the edge of VRoid Studio's guidelines. There is a clause that says, quote, "You cannot create an application that can generate or output 3D models, avatars, or items consisting of deformed or combined meshes and textures that were created in VRoid Studio." End quote. Emphasis on the application part. Through my email with VRoid Studio support team, if you're making a character customization in Unity using this method, you're fine as long as you don't give your application an ability to export it from the game. I think this guideline is created so that nobody can just steal VRoid Studio's artwork and publish their own version of their program. And yeah, that's pretty much everything that you need to know to use this tool. Here is a silly thing I did where I sync the chest size blend shapes with the U lip sync plugin I showcased in my previous video. Let me know if you guys managed to find some silly use cases like this, and share your blend shape creations in the comment section down below or at me on Twitter. If you like this type of tutorials, comment down below, leave a like, and subscribe so you'll get more of this in the future. The best way to support me making these tutorials is by becoming a patron on Patreon, like Javi, my $10 patron, or by purchasing my plugins on Ko-fi if you're financially able to. As I said earlier, my income from YouTube is really bad, so thanks guys. And with that, I think I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.